Well, hi, everybody. My name is Karen Shu. I'm Executive Director of Northwest Sinfonietta, and we're delighted to be able to talk today with Reena Esmail. She is a composer, and we are going to be playing one of her pieces on our upcoming May performance. It's called Teen Murti. She'll say it better in just a second, but I just want to welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's so great to be here with all of you.
And can you tell us a little bit about your piece?
Yeah, so Teen Murti was originally a few movements of a string quartet that I wrote in 2013. And after I'd written the string quartet, River Oaks Chamber Orchestra asked me if I would consider doing a string orchestra version of that quartet. And it's really interesting because a lot of the music that I wrote, I thought would really only work for string quartet. It's unmetered. It requires the players to see everyone that's that they're playing with. And so I thought, how is this going to work for string orchestra? But somehow it did work, and it became this piece, Teen Murti. And so it was actually premiered by Man Chen and River Oaks Chamber Orchestra way back in the day. And since then, it's just had this really incredible life. It's, people all over the country and all over the world have played it. And I mean, it's the biggest surprise to me that it just has found its way in the world.
Well, we're really looking forward to playing it. It seems to really strike a chord with people, and it just has a very special mood to it. And I think maybe that's because it starts with kind of a traditional sounding raga. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so each movement, the teen means three in Hindi. And so there are these three sections to the piece. And each section starts with this little almost it's supposed to sound unmetered, essentially. And what it is almost a meditation on something. And this came from this thing that I experienced when I lived in India and was experiencing Hindustani classical music for the first time, where I would go to these concerts and I would hear someone would announce from the stage, oh, I'm singing this rag. And a rag is like a kind of a scale, but it has a lot more personality to it. It's associated with specific melodic lines, specific times of day. And people really know these rags in India. And so when someone would announce the name of the rag, you'd hear from the audience that people would start singing the phrases of that rag to themselves. And so that's what the beginnings and the interludes of in between each of the main movements is supposed to be. And then, you transition into each of these main movements, and it's really these three different moods. The word murti in Hindi means kind of a statue or an idol, so it can actually mean a physical statue. But in this case, I consider each of those three statues the three different rags that are there. And each rag has a kind of a mood associated with it. It even in this case has a certain tempo and certain melodic lines. And so you kind of find your way into these three different moods and three different spaces. And each one kind of stands by itself.
Well, that just sounds amazing. We're so excited to enter into your musical world with this piece. You have a connection to the Pacific Northwest, to the Seattle area. Tell us what you've been doing up here.
Oh, it's been wonderful to be in Seattle. I actually had not been to Seattle until a couple of years ago when I came for the premiere of my piano trio. And then since then, it's been amazing because so many Seattle ensembles have performed my work, and I worked with educational ensembles. And of course, this year I'm the composer in residence with Seattle Symphony. And so it's been incredible to get to know the city in such a deep way. So I'm about to head back for my third trip to Seattle in May, but I was there in March, and then I was also there in September, both for premieres of pieces that were commissioned by Seattle Symphony. One was kind of an overture type of thing, and it featured Seattle Symphony's principal oboist, Mary Lynch, actually playing with a video recording of herself. Speaking of Zoom recordings of things, it kind of played on that thing that we've all experienced and that we're doing right now with each other. And then the other piece was a violin concerto, but not for a Western classical violinist. It was for an Indian classical violinist, Kala Ramnath. So that was a whole other thing. But I think Teen Murti kind of combines both of those elements in that it does use really deep elements of Hindustani classical music that would be instantly recognizable to Indian classical music lovers. But it also does that for Western instrumentalists. And the idea is that Western instrumentalists should be able to access those spaces in a way that allows them a window to see what Indian classical music is like, but in a way where they really can access it through their own technique and training. And so a lot of the things that you'll hear that sound very improvised are me having sung a melody and then transcribed it out meticulously so that a Western instrumentalist can actually understand how to play it through their own style. And so my hope is just that it's not like they're becoming Hindustani musicians, but hopefully that you'll find some interest, you'll find something that kind of pulls your attention towards Hindustani classical music.
For sure. Thank you for making this window for us Western music players to enter into that space, and also for our audiences who may not have a lot of experience with classical Indian music to have an entry into this. I'm sure we're just going to enjoy it so much. Thanks for joining us. You mentioned that Mayan, did you say she premiered this piece?
Yeah, Mayan actually premiered this piece when we did it with River Oaks Chamber Orchestra, and she has actually been such a champion of this work. She's taken it around the world. She's recorded it with River Oaks Chamber Orchestra. So this piece is actually very deeply attached to Mayan in my mind because I think she just heard it, and sometimes you need a conductor who really believes in a work and sees the vision of it to bring it into the world. And Mayan certainly has done that for this piece and for my other work as well.
Yes, and Mayan did bring this piece to us, and you to us, the Northwest Sinfonietta. I think this is the first piece of yours that we've had the opportunity to play, and we're just so looking forward to it. So our performances are going to be on May 21st and May 22nd. With Maestra Mayan Chen conducting, and we're thrilled to have Reena Esmail's piece to open that program. So please join us. And thank you so much, Reena.
Thank you.